Greetings again, everyone. Appreciate everybody for the support, helping grow this channel. Appreciate all the subscribers, coming in and getting some of this, information on narcissism and the mindsets, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Key points to countering the narcissistic mindset. All right, we're going to get into this and speak on it. I think it's important to kind of go over things that, are found in these mindsets. Over my period of time and getting involved with this and learning about narcissism myself, and like I said, dealing with many different people, clients, from all different walks of life, professions, I realized some certain basic things. One of the things I was looking at, and this is from a passage in the book of Matthew that says, "For many are called, but few are chosen." We have to really, understand that and break that down and look at it from a certain mindset point of why that is. And in order to respond to a call, you have to first be in the right mind to receive the call, to know what to do with the call, to act upon the call. And as we move further and further away from common sense, we lose our ability to exercise good judgment and deductive reasoning, being able to form logical conclusions. And one of the things for at least an individual to understand is to, break the narcissistic mindset. Okay. We're surrounded by it nowadays, as I speak commonly about how society is pushing the narcissistic mindset upon people, trying to socially engineer or induce narcissists, that mindset at least. A big thing to understand is to be a free thinker, which uses critical thinking skills to respond and not a person who listens to react. The free thinker is not a collective thinker, nor are they emotional, at least in the way that they operate. And one of the most effective ways that a narcissist captivates the emotion of a person is either with pleasure or some type of anger or rage, making sure that the victim is securely fastened for the ride. All right. They're securely strapped in for the ride, being emotionally charged instead of logically armed. Let's face it, if we're at least being real with ourselves, most of us became victims of narcissists from being emotionally involved only in the beginning, resisting the nudges of logic, which were trying to show us red flags to evaluate these situations and the condition that we were in with the narcissist, right? And a big part of this is life doesn't come with a book. There's no manual on how to operate. There's a book that showed us principles and things to look at with wisdom. But we're moving further and further away from that. Wisdom is almost despised now. And that's one of the things I say can most, profoundly help an individual is to seek wisdom. Like many of you are doing right now, listening to this video, seeking wisdom. That's going to be one of your biggest and greatest defenses against a lot of things, especially dealing with narcissistic mindsets. And what is wisdom? What's wisdom? Well, wisdom is the soundness of an action or decision with regard to the application of the experience or the knowledge and good judgment, which good judgment is common sense, basically. And so in order to effectively use wisdom, you have to apply the experiences and the knowledge and compile that with good judgment, which are key components to the wisdom, right? And basically, you customize these things. You're not, you get it, but you have to know how to make it work for you in your circumstance, in your situation, in your life, and what you may be going through. That's what you take the wisdom. You take pieces or whatever fits in to your situation, and you put it and insert it in there, and you apply it. You use it to what's relevant for your specific situation. And people say, well, Quinn, how do I know if I'm getting the right wisdom and using it properly? And all I can say is, from my experience, the first thing that increases is your perception and understanding. Things begin to make a lot more sense effortlessly. You don't really have to think about it as much. It comes to you and you have a clear, concise understanding. What was confusing before is now clear. What used to bother you doesn't bother you anymore. What used to scare you doesn't scare you anymore. Wisdom purges before it gifts you, if you accept it. Wisdom disillusions the illusion. I've heard from some clients that now that they've learned all of this stuff about narcissism and cluster Bs and went out studying and applying the knowledge that they've got, in regards to dating at least, a lot of them say, doesn't feel the same anymore. It's not fun. And I would ask, well, why is it not fun? The answer was, to a certain extent, and I'm paraphrasing, because the things that they used to be blinded to and would have to walk into, that part of the excitement, they're now able to see ahead. And I thought, oh, okay. So now, due to all this studying and stuff, you've gained a thing called foresight. Foresight, having the ability to see and perceive things before they happen by applying the wisdom, by understanding wisdom. And also probably because the veil of ignorance has been removed. Once you remove ignorance, you can see, you can perceive, you can make better judgments. So I guess that's why they say ignorance is bliss. For me, though, this is also where I arrived at the reality of really beginning to understand the words of one of the most wisest men who've lived, and stated that, and I'll quote, "And I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly/foolishness. And I perceive that this is also vexation of spirit. For in much wisdom is much grief. And he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow." Right? And so, thinking on that, it's at this point that you realize that you're not dreaming. When you get reach a certain level of wisdom and understanding, you're not dreaming, but you're alive. And the things that, are in this world and what you experience is just as real, seen and unseen. Uncommon knowledge is a key that unlocks realities, right? And this is a big part of why narcissists don't want to grow up, why they choose to keep themselves in a state of arrested development. The narcissistic mind is downright terrified of reality. And this is why when you speak to people in a lot of ways and you come from a very sound disposition and pushing a lot of knowledge and stuff, wisdom sounds like insanity to a fool. Right? And when a person such as anyone that adopts the narcissistic mindset gets an unadulterated peek at what having wisdom looks like and what it looks like to be able to perceive the things that are real in reality, they run right back into that state of arrested development. It's almost like the groundhog coming out of the ground, seeing its shadow. It doesn't realize that that's from him. So it runs back into the ground because it's terrified. It's afraid. It doesn't know what that is. Not knowing that that shadow is coming from you. It's coming from that individual or thing. But it scares them because they lack the knowledge of knowing what that is. So they run back in. They don't want to deal with that. They don't want to see that unless they come out and they don't see their shadow. Let that one sink in. Anyway, this is a big reason why, in my opinion, we have a constant, indoctrination of this narcissistic, unruly way. Do as thou wilt, and whatever happens. It doesn't lead to anything good. And it keeps things from developing, from evolving. Part of life is based on being able to evolve. And when we can't evolve, we don't grow. We stay stuck. And being stuck in this manner creates a restlessness that can only seek to be mischievous. And that mischief just keeps growing and growing and growing. And we find ourselves with a bunch of derelict, misguided mindsets. I'm done talking on this. Anyway, hit the like button, subscribe, share. Have a good one.